So now we'll move on to the last lecture by Professor Nagaraj Paturi ji on teaching discipline-specific research methodology. So yesterday also we had one talk by Nagaraj ji. So again, a short intro of Nagaraj ji. So Nagaraj Paturi ji is the Dean of Indic Academy. He is a senior professor with 3 decades of university teaching and research experience, including field work-based culture research. He specializes in cultural studies including folk culture studies, linguistics, including Sanskrit linguistics, literary studies, including myth studies. Mahodaya, I request you to kindly deliver your text.
Namaste, Srinivas garu. I was excited to attend as a participant the previous talk by Shatadhani Dr. R. Ganesh ji, because that's my field of involvement, the same field, aesthetics, and I will start from there to begin my argument. At the University of Hyderabad, where I was in a cultural studies department, the department was part of a school called Sarojini Naidu School of Fine Arts, Performing Arts and Communication. And the fields that Dr. R. Ganesh ji was mentioning were all there: dance department, music department, and all. And what usually happens, not just in those departments, even in the Sanskrit universities and Sanskrit departments of general universities or literature departments of schools of humanities all over, is that after coming to a course like PhD or MPhil, students are given a course called research methodology course. And usually what happens is even the teacher searches for books which teach research methodology. And they search for books to be prescribed as study material for the students. And every time they go to these books, 99% of these books are oriented towards social science research. And invariably, they divide the research into qualitative research, quantitative research, and then in quantitative research, there are statistical methods and all that. As a result, what happened is, for example, now she is my colleague in the university, but she was at that time my student. She took up the topic of Satvika Abhinaya in Kshetraya Padams, and then she was preparing a questionnaire, a schedule. I was asking, what is this? Why should you prepare a questionnaire? She was saying that that was what was taught to me in the research methodology course, that I have to prepare a questionnaire. Okay, what are you going to talk? To whom are you going to talk? What is the material? From what questions are you collecting? What material with regard to Satvika Vinaya aspects of Kshetraya Padams? So she was trying to cook up some kind of questions. Say, for example, she would attend Kshetraya Padam performances in auditoriums, and then she will approach the audience and ask them what was their response and some kind of question. She was trying to struggle, and then she said, sir, I came to you only because you have to guide me. Simply because there is a method, I have to either guide my student or the student has to guide herself to fit her research into that method. This is a huge crisis that all the literature departments in schools of humanities or Sanskrit departments of general universities or Sanskrit universities, all the departments of Sanskrit universities and the fine arts, performing arts schools all over India are facing. we are now focusing on IKS research. And in IKS research, a person goes into almost similar topics, these topics only. And then again, this whole monstrous, terrifying, horrifying research methodology comes in front of him, and he starts saying, sir, what should I do? Which methodology I should apply? From the textbook on research methodology. Then what happened in the Sanskrit departments that I met, and the Sanskrit University various departments, was that this created a big awe and fear in the scholars about some monster called methodology. So they generally, what they do is, okay, so because this is research, I should, how shall I do history? So shall I collect dates and date information, historical information? My topic is just Jayanta Bhatta. My topic is just Udayana Acharya. My topic is just Navya Nyaya. But the first chapter must have the whole date of Udayanacharya, the historical conditions in Bengal. I have to collect all the articles on the historical information of Udayanacharya. And then, okay, you put it all there. In the all the next chapters, there will only be Navinyaya concepts. You don't know how to connect them. But if in the Viva OC, in the defense of your PhD, if someone puts this question, why did you put all this historical information if you are not going to connect it inside your actual core chapters in your dissertation? Their answer is, sir, research, sir. Research means, research methodology means it has to be there. History has to be there in that. This fear, this psychological problem has to be first of all removed, and we have to educate the IKS researchers or researchers on Shastras or researchers on various fine arts, performing arts, and other traditional classical arts or folk arts or any of these things, that these frames like history and all that are just frames. If you are not interested in that, you can just remove it. You can just completely avoid all these things. Or say there is something like manuscriptology, and there is this preparation of critical edition of a book. What I saw in most of the Sanskrit universities whenever I visit there is, I ask the student, what is your topic? 50% of the students have been telling me that, sir, I am preparing the critical edition of this book. Why? Because that is considered to be research. Critical edition is a research. That only is respected. It is respected as a research. So I have to collect all the manuscripts and produce the critical edition. Does the professor in the department tell the students that critical edition is a historical method? It is part of history research only. It is a method that was evolved for Bible's original version to be reconstructed. And they were interested in the original version of something. Why should that be some goal, some ideal goal for us? That critical thinking about critical edition, the name itself is critical, but there is no critical thinking about that critical edition in the student. And they start thinking that, okay, by doing this manuscript research, and that manuscript research also has to be creating a critical edition. And then if I'm doing that, I'm doing research. This is called research. So these assumptions have created in the research courses of all the departments a kind of cultural imposition, a colonial imposition. And my talk today is intended to remove these and tell the students that that is not required. And I'm asking all the academic colleagues of mine sitting in this forum also to be critically teaching the students, make them critical receivers of this knowledge, and tell them that these are all just various frameworks. Why don't you, for example, criticize history as a paradigm? History itself as a paradigm is wrong, you can say that. Itihasa is also one way of looking at the past. Purana is also one way of looking at the past. History is only one of the candidates in that competition. That is only one of the methods. So you can create a discipline, for example, of ways of looking at the past. Then in the entire spectrum of ways of looking at the past, you will have Itihasa, Purana, history, all sitting side by side, and you will be evaluating history from a framework where Itihasa is competing with it. You will say that Itihasa is this kind of looking at the past. History is this kind of looking at the past. Instead of saying that, oh, Itihasas are also history, I will prove that all my Itihasa is history only, and I will also dig the burials. I will also go for carbon dating. I will also do the carbon dating of the Kurukshetra Ratha. I got a Ratha of Kurukshetra. This unnecessary diversion of our energies into unnecessary frameworks has to be completely removed from the minds of the students. For example, let us take the question of aesthetic research only that Dr. R. Ganesh ji was talking about. He was bringing the pramanas aspect, okay, but the students of aesthetics related, art related disciplines are not, for example, trained in uh, the ideas that all the past aesthetic theories were also products of research. For example, if Abhinava Gupta was not a researcher, he would not have come up with all the new proposals by him. And Abhinava Gupta, while quoting Bhattanayaka, Sri Shankuka and others, he was also doing a review of literature. That review of literature, he was showing how he differs with them. He was showing how Bhattanayaka is a Mimamsaka. He is showing those connections. Did he mention the century from which Bhattanayaka comes? Why? What is the necessity? Did he mention the century from which Sri Shankuka comes? Why? What is the necessity? If Abhinav Gupta is mentioning Sri Shankuka and Bhattanayaka and others, and is showing you the sequence of development of ideas towards interpretation of various aspects of rasa, then that is enough. The sequentiality is enough for the review of literature. But we have made our students so much slaves to this dating and, oh, when was Bhattanayaka there? When was, and he suffers, and ultimately, because Abhinav Gupta did not give us the date, he would never know the date of Bhattanayaka. And he would think, sir, please tell me how to mention the date of Bhattanayaka. Why should you worry? Is the critical thinking that we should give to the students. And also we should tell the students that if you are coming up with a new aesthetic theory proposal, for example, my own teacher of aesthetics in the university came up with a proposal that Dharmavira is the Rasanam Rasaha. Dharmavira eva Rasanam Rasaha. It's a contemporary theory. In the 20th century, he came up with that theory in 1954. And one Telugu poet, through his poetic work called Rayaprolu Subbarao Garu, through his poetic work came up with a theory of Amalina Shungara Rasa. We don't tell the students that these things have happened. New rasa theories have come. Amalina Shungara rasa has been proposed. The Angi rasa of Mahabharata is identified as Shanta rasa by Anandavardhana, but Angi rasa of Mahabharata as Dharmavira has been proposed by my teacher, Professor J.V. Subramaniam. This we don't tell students, and then they start thinking that, okay, what is there to research further? What is there to find further in these areas? What is there that I can contribute newly in this field? Okay, everything is already said. All rasas are already settled. All sthayi bhavas are already settled. All conclusions of which rasa is part of all rasas, Bhoja, Shungara theory is settled. Even we don't even think that as recent as 17th century, Bhakti rasa discussions happened. Rupa Goswami and Madhusudana Saraswati were coming up with their own new theories of Bhakti rasa. Okay, even 17th century is old for us. Okay, done. So you are 20th century. You should not do anything new. You should not come up with any new theory of rasa, because you are there only to do history. Take the date off. Mention the date. Historical conditions. Then you will be compelled to quote Keith. You will be compelled to quote some other Western name and quote all of them in sequence. And then say, you are here only to say what they have said. That is PhD. And it becomes a PhD because it has so many references. At the end of the book, there is a whole list, a big bibliography and a list of references and huge amount of footnotes. You are a researcher. This is making our researchers very timid, making them lose their confidence that they can come up with new theories, new innovations in our traditional knowledge systems. We don't tell the students that all these methodology textbooks that are being supplied to you are not necessary for you. Please don't read them. Go to the first principles. What is meant by finding something new? How do you convince your reader or your colleagues, your peers in the field, that what you found newly is acceptable? What are the evidences that you are showing? What are the arguments that you are giving? These are first principles. So you have to educate the students that quantitative methods, sampling, zero hypothesis, all this is completely not relevant to your research. It is relevant in certain areas for certain reasons. What is being done through such quantitative methods is some inductive conclusion is being drawn, and that inductive conclusion is coming from certain instances and observations, and a quantitative observation is being done. A quantitative study of those observations is being done. And what are those instances? Lakshyas. What are you doing through that conclusion, through that generalization? Lakshana. So from lakshyas to reach lakshana, if you are using mathematical methods, statistical methods, you are doing that quantitative research. But that is not the only way you come to a lakshana based on lakshyas. These first principles have to be taught to the students, and we have to tell them that your discipline, for example, you are in Vyakarana, you are in Nyaya, you are in Mimamsa, you are in Vedanta, you are in Sahitya, you are in Natya Shastra, you are in Sangeeta Shastra. In these fields, these things are not relevant at all. They are not useful. They are not of use at all for you. First principle is find out something new. What is that new thing that you are finding out? Not that Abhinavagupta said something that was not found by others, I am finding out. Be Abhinavagupta yourself. Be Shankara yourself. find out something like what Abhinav Gupta has found out. That courage has to be given to the students. And the students have to be told that Abhinav Gupta was also a researcher. He came up with innovative ideas. And those innovative ideas he has come up only because he was trained in Shastric methodology. We are also giving you the same Shastric methodology. So using this Shastric methodology, this is enough. Nothing more is required. None of the methods that are taught, like manuscriptology, critical edition, or any of these fashionable university methods are not required. Why should? Because there is a method, you have to go and do it, is absolute innocence, lack of cleverness, or timidity, that you are completely getting unnecessarily enamored by these methods. Every time I saw in the chat also, we go, oh, even in cultural anthropology, this is being said. Even in sociology, this is being said. Even in economics, this is being said. That is actually putting us back into those frameworks again and again. If it is a cultural topic that you are involved in, if you're doing a cultural research using a qualitative method like ethnography or any such method, okay, fine. But unnecessarily, because, oh, ethnography, it's an English word, beautiful word. So if I do ethnography, people will respect me. So I should do ethnography. Baba, in Nyaya, what ethnography can I do? Unnecessary. Why should you do ethnography in Nyaya? Why should you do manuscriptology in Nyaya? So immediately the Nyaya students, what they are doing is, I will create a critical edition of Nyaya Manjari. People have not done the critical edition of Nyaya Manjari, then only I will be called, recognized as doing research. This has to go. Jamalamed Srinivas Garu once was telling me that Prodapatras were being created at a certain period of history. These are innovations. Prodapatras are all creative work. Why don't we tell the MA Sanskrit student having Nyaya as an optional subject? Nyaya as an optional subject is not enough to know Nyaya, that's okay. But at least this knowledge that there is something called Krodapatra. It belongs to a research in Nyaya. This has been a traditional research inside Nyaya only. That is not communicated to the student of Nyaya. If you teach these things, I tell you, all my academic colleagues, that you will be exciting them. You will be exciting the students. What you are doing by not teaching them the research already existing in the Indian knowledge systems, you are demoralizing them. You are making them timid, and you are making them get afraid of some monstrous creature called research methodology, and you are making them create some concocted research which is fitting to the existing research methodology courses. Unnecessary waste of energy is happening, and you are also not exciting the student. If you tell the student that you can also become one more Abhinav Gupta, doesn't he get excited? If you tell them that you can create a Navya Navya Nyaya, doesn't he get excited? When Navya Nyaya was being created, was that not innovation? We don't tell the students that that was research. We can show them that the seeds of Avachedaka and Avachinna were already there in the conventional Nyaya only. But that was made more rigorous during Navya Nyaya times. Why that rigor had to be brought? No need of going into the sociological level questions, of historical level questions. We can show them what is the actual use of that rigor in Nyaya. then tell them that if you have another need today for rigor, create another Navya Nyaya. You can yourself become an Udayanacharya or Gadadhara or any of these. You can also contribute. We have to create that confidence in the students and tell them that research methods have always existed, and all the evolution in the thought process of every Shastra, right from Vedanta, Nyaya, Vyakarana, or Mimamsa, whichever field, the further developments always happen because of research only. That research is coming from the methods of that discipline. Mimamsa's methods lead to Mimamsa evolution. Nyaya methods lead to Nyaya evolution. Sometimes maybe there is some kind of innovations coming from inter-Shastra relationships. For example, in Alankara Shastra, the new theories came because of application of Mimamsa into Alankara Shastra. Vyakarana Darshana models were created by Bhartrihari, or even his claim, Bhartrihari's own claim is that he was not doing anything new. It was done by the time of Sangraha itself. Okay, so if that is true, by the time of Sangraha itself, application of Nyaya and Mimamsa concepts into a Vedanta-like Darshana development for Vyakarana was already happening. That innovation was already happening. So because we don't tell the students to think about that innovation process from which Bhartrihari, or if it was Vyadi who created in Sangraha, how they did that, how Bhushanasara or Laghumanjusha came up with later models. Say for example, you have Karaka, Adhikarana Karaka itself being in all other Karakas is a model in Bhushanasara. If you just read Bhushanasara from cover to cover, almost every page is a research. Every page has got innovative ideas. Right from Spota to Karaka, every topic you take is a new idea. We don't tell the students that these were new ideas. When we tell also, we create an awe in them that, okay, only Nagesha Bhatta can do that. Only Kaunda Bhatta can do that. Only Bhartrihari can do that. You can never be Kaunda Bhatta. You can never be Bhartrihari. You can never be Shankara. You have to be just an MA student submitting a PhD dissertation in which there is a list of books, references, in which 80% have to be foreign names. And what foreigners have said about Kaunda Bhatta or Bhattoji Dikshita or any of these, you have to say those things. What would they say? Just tell me what would they say. Did they understand any of these Laghumanjusha or Bhushanasara or Vakyapadiyam or any of these works from the content point of view? All that they told you is that Bhartrihari belongs to 5th century AD, and in 5th century AD, India was in these historical conditions. That is why Bhartrihari's brain worked that way, as if these people went and saw all that. But if the teacher can excite the students by making them go to the process through which a Bhartrihari can emerge, then every Shastra, whether it is Ayurveda or Yoga, or for example in Yoga also, how Hatha Yoga could have come? How Hatha Yoga's hybridization with Advaita Vedanta could have come if it is not research? Tell anything, they just tell you, oh, I'm not as great as the author of Gheranda Samhita. I have to only do my asanas and teach asanas to my students. kriyas to my students. This has to go. We have to first of all investigate into the processes through which the evolution in each of the Indic knowledge systems has happened, and we have to teach only those insider investigative methods, innovative thinking methods to the students of IKS, and tell them that they can contribute to each of these fields only when they can also be confident as the people who contributed to the evolution of the field as recent as 15th century, as recent as 17th century, as recent as 18th century also people contributed. And we are able to see that as recent as 20th century also, people talked about the constitution of India ideas in Artha Shastra. Currently, Jamal Srinivas Garu is working on Rajeshwara Shastri Dravid Garu's commentary on Artha Shastra. We should tell the students that such people existed in the beginning of 20th century itself, and they did this kind of work and create courage in them and create a critical reception of the Western methods in them, and then make them discipline specific researchers and make them contributors to IKS rather than diggers of IKS and presenters of IKS through the Western research methodology. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahodaya. It was very eye-opening, I would say. And fortunately or unfortunately, even my PhD thesis was on critical edition of certain manuscript. But fortunately, I did some study on it, so it was an addition to uh, only editing the work, but a bit of study was also done on that.
No, you are not wrong. The wrong is on the part of the
Yeah, yeah.
university system.
Yes, yes.
Your guides who didn't tell you that it is not necessary to do any critical edition.
Yes, yes.
And they did not tell you critically about the critical edition. That is, it is a history method. Critical edition is a history method, and how it belongs to that history method, and how that history method is only one of the methods.
Yes.
It is prone to criticism. We can show the faults, logical faults in the method called history through our methods. That courage has to be given to the students. That is why you were all in your period also, recent period also, you were all trapped into these unnecessary methods. So you please bring out the Krodapatras,
Yes.
publish them, tell the students that these were done in recent times also.
Yes. Yes.
They were courageous enough, they were bold enough to create those Krodapatras. And we have to give the same courage to the younger Shastra students and IKS students also. When IKS students come, let us not tell them that, oh, IKS is all about digging out the old research using the present Western colonial methods. This has to be completely removed from their mind. That is not required.
Yes.
We
I
have
think
to
the whole
make them go to the first principles.
yeah.
Research is all about convincing the audience that you have found out something new, provided in evidences and arguments to convince your reader. And we already have enough arguments.
Yes.
The Western people, whom we call Indologists, they themselves tell the world that theirs is a limited method called historical method. They claim themselves to be historical critical researchers in texts. Okay, that itself has shown that they have limited themselves to one of the methods. Why should we think that that is the model and that is the ideal way of looking at texts? let us tell the Indologist if he meets us or if we come across such a person that, okay, you are an Indologist, be in your own business. That's not my business. I'm in IKS. IKS is a different field. In IKS, we dig out our knowledge. And that's not your business. Please don't interfere in our activity. We can tell them. So why should we cater to that audience and try to satisfy them, give them pleasure that, okay, sir, then give me the date of my conduct.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, sir, for your
Okay. Yeah.
wonderful insight. I request Sai Mahodaya to kindly, as we have come to the conclusion, so we had wonderful 8 lectures together yesterday and today. So I request Sai Mahodaya to kindly wrap up the seminar.
Yeah, needless to say, this has been, I've told you, we got 4 more drops of Amritam. And to actually do the proper aswadam, each subject needs to be explored in much more detail. So what we gave you here is only a taste of what is available. And I would encourage the participants, if you are interested in further exploring any of the topics presented, we will be more than happy to engage you with the corresponding scholar. As I told, this is only a beginning. And one more point, the topics we've covered so far are only a small portion of the number of unaddressed issues yet to be explored. So we are planning another seminar very soon, maybe in a couple of weeks or a month or so, where, for example, we haven't focused here on the science and technology research, meaning hard science and technology research in IKS, what it looks like, what were the methods employed. That's one example. So many such topics, there are some very good experts whom we are approaching, and we would like to come forward to you with another round of equally exciting and informative talks. With that, thank you so much for joining and enriching this discussion. Namaste.
Thank you, one and all, for participating and being a patient listener. We would conclude this with the Shanti Mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swasti.